Apocalypse of Isaiah, the first collection of writings. Isaiah's Lord of NBA Hosts Parable, chapters 1 through 4. This opening collection presents Isaiah's symbolic vision of the Lord of NBA Hosts, wherein the language of sacred judgment, athletic dominion, and apocalyptic spectacle is joined into a single theological parable. The Lord is portrayed as the supreme sovereign over the league, its players, its witnesses, its rulers, and its contested glory, descending in judgment to expose pride, overthrow rebellion, and reveal the true order of power. The serpent, figured as the mamba, becomes the tragic emblem of ambition, exalted beyond its appointed bounds, whose pursuit of supremacy ends in defeat, confession, and irreversible descent. Michael appears as the faithful champion, tested within the drama of the league, yet distinguished by discipline, obedience, and refusal to turn aside from the ordained path. The unappreciated journeyman then emerges as a figure of rejection and vindication, misread by his own people yet upheld by the righteous judgment of the heavenly referee. Through these 4 chapters, the parable transforms the court into a theater of divine meaning, where fame, rivalry, suffering, and victory are interpreted as signs of a higher sovereignty. Thus, the Lord of NBA Hosts stands above every throne, every contest, and every legend, until lamentation is turned into triumph and the hidden order of judgment is made plain. Isaiah's Apocalypse. Chapter 1. Now thus are the words which doth contain the blessing of Isaiah, by which he was blessed, numbered among the elect and justified, who foreseeing the day of tribulation forsook all of his sins, renouncing and denouncing all the wicked and godless, unto whom it is unbeknownst the acceleration of both vision and prophecy, as unto the very fulfillment thereof, even unto the very day of the great separation, where at that time they shall become as wood afore the furnace, by sovereign decree appointed for complete and utter removal. For it is even the time of the very vintage afore the great gleaning, when the wheat and the tares hath reached final maturity. This is the consummation of the age, predestined afore the foundation of the world by Yahusha, as a witness of that which even now already is. Isaiah shall give his account and answer unto Elohim, thus declaring this testament, which concerneth all that he saw come to pass, whiles the eyes of his Ruach were yet opened. For to perceive in the Ruach by the Ruach, a holy vision, that which El Yahusha Adoni Sevaoth alone couldst reveal unto me. From whence beheld I all that I wouldst later consider with insight, first dimly, then also in fullness, that I mayest behold an end of all flesh, things not for a remote people, yet afar off, nor a distant generation, which is for to come, but yea, for this final generation, on account of true Yasharel, who by name are called the elect of Yahusha Kana, whose name is jealous. Therefore upon our account didst I proceed for to write, and yea, upon communing with him, and upon inquiring of him, was I shown a parable, as in a solemn express similitude, namely a doxology filled with great praise, as a blessing which toucheth both heaven and earth expressly that which appertaineth unto Yahusha Hanilcham Vihamenatseach Tamid Eloivav, Yahusha the sovereign Elohim, who thus declareth, I am the sovereign Lord, the almighty Savior, I that am glorious in mine apparel, traversing in the greatness of my strength, I that speak in righteousness mighty to save. For I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there is none with me, for I do trod them in mine anger, trampling them in my fury, and their blood is thus sprinkled upon my garments, staining all my raiment. As it is written, will I also remember the mercies of the Lord, and the praises of the Lord, and according to all that the Lord hath bestowed upon us, and the great goodness towards the house of Yashareel, which he hath given us according to his tender mercies, and according to the multitude of his loving kindnesses. For he said, surely they are my people, children that will not lie, so he became our Savior. Therefore the Almighty shall soon depart from his lofty majestic throne, our great and eternal Elua, who sitteth betwixt the cherubim. From his high holy habitation he cometh down with great zeal, to repay as a thief in the night, yea, even by an untimely visitation, for to execute vengeance upon his league. For with great zeal, and for his high holy name's sake, he maketh the condemned an open spectacle of the righteous judgment, that he mayest quench the raging flames of his fierce and fiery indignation. For the Lord by the slain of his sword, even by the word of his mouth, as by the breath of his lips, upbraideth and uprooteth all the rebellious, all they who in futility doth imagine vain things against him. For by unquenchable fire he doth adjudicate, and all onlookers do tremble. Thus shalt he ease himself of all his adversaries, that in that day and from thenceforth he alone is crowned Melech Melachim va-Adon Adonim, which is to be interpreted, Yahusha El Shaddai, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. For he is the originator and maker of all the players, and of the onlookers, and of the league, and of all they that do contend therein. Yea, he shalt very shortly tread upon the highly exalted places of the league, as he reveals himself with his mighty hosts, by name, who are the select elect of his aforechosen and elite company of the overcoming and overachieving all-stars. Yea, that his fame wouldst be made known throughout all the earth, even as his great power reveals him as Most High. Thus all are horribly sore afraid. The onlookers also art weighed down beneath a heavy and burdensome stone. For in that day, saith Yahuwah Sebaoth, shall it be revealed unto them as the rock of offense, and unto all they that do offend, who encompasseth, yea, wholly gathered round about, is set forth a cup of much fear and of great trembling. But unto the elect, who of the league art besieged, the Lord makes himself known unto them as the rock of defense. For great trembling doth perpetually seize all onlookers, even unto the uttermost ends of the league the lights hath gone out. The bulbs too art withdrawn of their fluorescent shining. The whole league loudly waileth, yea, a most bitter, doleful lamentation. For the Lord doth utter his voice with a great and tumultuous shout. The high rims are made low, each and every rim and backboard art, yea, wholly rent asunder. The whole league is utterly astonished at this, even at this very horrific sight, and the sounds of the calamity thereof. For calamity doth come upon all, even as travail cometh upon a woman with child, wherein none shalt escape. For all that therein is cometh to naught. Yea, they becometh as though they hadst never been. For fierce rebuke is poured out upon all the onlookers, upon the players, upon the coaches, upon the referees, yea, upon the whole league, even the very commissioner appointed over the league thereof. For the Lord doth enter into judgment with them, even as he entereth into Jerusalem, in unto his holy courts, therein his set-apart borders in the land of Yasharel. For in that day he shall rule with what is even as unto a rim's rod of iron, yea, forever and ever in the majesty of his great glory. For he would hath recovered all that is his, and shall make us fully satiate, and we shalt become abundantly blessed. For the splendor of Yahuwah shall shine forth, as he doth smile upon us forevermore, yea, even as he shineth brightly forever and ever through, and upon the countenance of his elect one. For behold, El Yahushakana cometh in the clouds, with clouds upon clouds. He cometh in vengeance for to cut off all the dwellers of the land of Idumea. For by his sword which is bathed in heaven, and by unquenchable fire shalt that day come swiftly upon all those of Yahuwah's curse. They who being greatly despised art least among the Gentiles. What is that fragrant savor? It is a sweet offering arisen unto our eternal Elua. For an evening oblation is offered up unto him in that day of thick darkness. As it is written, the lion is come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy cities shall be laid waste, without inhabitant. For even unto Idumea is this, a very horrific calamity foreseen. Yea, it is Yahusha's sacrifice in Bozrah. Yea, a great slaughter in the land of Idumea, even a great banquet, a summoning of the king's guests, as a gathering of ripened clusters from a most ready and choice vine. Yea, it is prepared, even a final supper by our Adoni Yahusha in the valley of hosts, the flesh of them that didst only always wholly oppress continually with an endless stroke, even all they that dwell in the land therein, yea, both man and beast art utterly overtaken, to the end that all which remaineth be perpetually cut off by slaughter. Esau, O Esau, mine beloved brother, hath not that day come upon thee as a thief in the night? Thou art made an utter waste for thy lies and thy deception. For thou in unrighteousness hast hidden the truth of our Elua's true elect, and his anointed beneath the clefts of the rocks. For thou hast used underhanded schemes, withholding the just wages of the slave laborers who built unto the heavens the lavishness of thy heaping. Yea, for in thy blood guiltiness thou hast led captive into all countries whithersoever El Yahweh hath driven us. Thus all thy lovers art bereft, and left destitute because of thy wicked counsel and bloodshed. There is now therefore no turning back, for lo, the books are opened, and as the brotherly covenant which thou hast forsaken, the seals are broken, as the last trumpet soundeth the final alarm of war. That which was concealed of old in the secret counsels of Teman is now easily spotted out. O Mount of Seir, hear ye the word of Yahweh. There is none soundness in thee. Therefore all thy posterity and all they who tremble because of thee are fast bound with thee therein thine perpetual fate, Esau, O Esau. At the time when all nations be utterly consumed by our almighty sovereign Elua Sevaoth. O thou that hissest with the hiss of him who hissed in the earlobe of Chua, now thou art perished by the brotherly hatred of Cain, who from the beginning deceived. And as for the wickedness of the house of Yehuda, thy beloved brother, even the whole house of Yaakov, didst we go wholly unpunished? Nay, El forbode, for Yahweh Sedekenu is righteous in all of his ways and doings. Therefore shalt thou weep in the secret places of the earth, as Sheol rejoiceth at thy descent therein, Esau, O Esau, and thy posterity, O Edom, and all whom thou hast deceived. Yet shall we rejoice in the day of the righteous retribution. Yet first shalt we weep bitterly unto Yahuwah Tsevaoth, that peradventure he wouldst make haste our salvation, even on account of our sake. Therefore weep, O ye people of Seir, yet praise ye Yahuwah, O ye inhabitants and congregants of Sion, for Yahusha hath set the captives free. Rejoice. And again I do say, be exceeding glad, for he hath dealt righteously, even the just vindication meet unto all the earth. For in that day have we seen the salvation and the glory of Yahuwah, as he prospereth us in the day of the doom of Idumea, even as it was in the day appointed for the destruction of all nations. For behold, the Ruach Chen Vatachanunim hath been poured out upon us in the midst of our great peril, yea, even in the season wherein for long duration the rod of chastisement hath not ceased, but hath sorely corrected and humbled us. Therefore sing Yahushana, ye poor and contrite of Ruach, yea, play a new song upon the piped instruments. For he hath bestowed a new blessing from up above, and now walking among us for evermore is our great and almighty Savior, he who is faithful and true, he who is clothed in glory, even the glory of his crimson-stained apparel. Thus is the book of the Lord's rest, which containeth the writings wherewith he shall shortly cause the weary to rest, and the very refreshing thereof, as it shall be made known unto them. Yet in this day have we heard with an open ear the promises that proceed from on high. For we shall have hearkened unto the word of Yahweh, which in times past came unto our fathers by the law, and by the prophets whom he raised up, whose mouths spake the oracles of El in purity, uncorrupted and steadfast in the fear of the Most High. And they, without guile or dissimulation, didst faithfully forewarn us, saying, because of our stubbornness and our obstinance of heart, we should surely be cut off, yea, scattered abroad and taken captive out of our land, and be made as the offscouring and refuse of the earth among the nations. Yea, trodden under foot by all peoples unto whom El Yahweh delivered us to serve, left destitute and forsaken, without hope, abiding in a state of want and sorrow, even as homeborn slaves that sigh for deliverance. For it is our crushed souls who hath sinned against our Adoni Elua. Nevertheless the time cometh, and now is, that our enemies and oppressors shall behold the work of Yahusha el Hamashiach, who ariseth for to execute terribly his vengeance upon the earth. Yea, they are they whose blood shall stain his garments as crimson upon raiment once pure and white, for thus is the day of his vengeance, and the year of our redemption shall not tarry. Behold, our salvation is very nigh to come, a lamentation against the fallen serpent. Chapter 2. Now there was a war in the league. Mikael and his team battled against the serpent. And the Mamba waged war with his team, but he prevailed not. Neither was there place found any more in the league for him, and the serpent was defeated, that black serpent, as is named also Kobe or Mamba out, which in the Ivrit tongue is called the supplanting serpent, he who leadeth all his followers downward with him, deep in unto the heart of the pit. Then, wherefore hast thou said in thine heart, I shall ascend above the top of the league, I shall exalt my throne above all the all-stars of the Lord? For thou hast said, I shall sit enthroned upon the mount of Rushmore, beyond the clouds, up above the host of the all-stars, inducted there into the hall of fame, engraved in like manner thereupon memory lane. Yea, I shall ascend above the heights of the league's greatest, I shall be like the Most High, I shall be like the Lord. Yea, I shall be most high. Yet hast thou been brought down to hell, thither to the sides of the pit. For lo, I beheld, Mamba out, didst he hiss with an exceeding great hissing, thus saying unto his seed, Indeed, indeed, my very seed, it hath come to pass, that the woman and her seed hath sacrificed us. To the flames of perdition at once we hath bust. In separate chambers of darkness do I likewise lament the exchange for greatness. Indeed, I do repent, never to return, whereby I cry, Mamba out, Mamba out, Lord, I do repent. Why, oh why didst I not hearken within? Now as I wail in anguish doth also mine conscience languish. With open confession, the meaninglessness of my most desired profession. In the first manner do I also confess, as in John 1:20, denying not but wholeheartedly confessing, it was not worth it. The NBA lie whereby cried, O thou most high, again I shall fly, above the stars of God, even thy great and mighty hill. Yet in the year of his 24, hardened I also mine stiff-necked heart. As in the day of the final visitation, lays mine final memory, that memory being the rim and backboard, wholly rent asunder, as in the days of Dawkins. As also afore Connie Hawkins, didst I also foresee, from the rugged terrain of Mount Mutombo, which set forth as a stumbling block, swatting left and right as a rock of defense. For only thou knowest, Lord, surely he hadst none offense. Yet the dream triumphed over Kareem, with or without magic, setting forth an ensample of unmatched footwork as David too went dancing down the lane of the league's final defeat. And as in the days of the round mound of rebound, so shall there be men of old, likewise renown. So too didst he suffer the defeat as the playoff series began to drown. Behold the dream, who being fervently non-assuming, the defense wondering next which hand was looming. The most trustworthy teammate asked Chuck or Kenny. In like manner Shaq or Penny, well lo, I do not lie, not Shaq nor Penny, thus lied I again. For lo, as down below I am the penny. Someone please help my burning soul, I do beg, for I am the penny. For the pride of my heart hath deceived me. Shaq, come save me. O thou useless slobber, deflecting the blame as unto a thief and a robber. Now in sorrow and in pain doth the woman travail, just to bring forth what wouldst throw me in jail. After death indeed is the judgment. The worst of it all is what shall pursue me next. Just as the 13th day of 21 too passed, didst the widow too pass. And with prayer, fasting, and holy oblations, didst she accomplish the plan to raise up the man. I indeed cannot stand, for he shall be known as the Lamb over all the league. Thus the God of Larry B, because mine attempt to make exempt any conversation. For greatest of all time is the ceiling as the floor. In the same manner his ceiling the ceiling which knoweth no end. Then didst the Ruach Yahweh depart me out of Sheol, immediately as the serpent spake his final words. And heard I from afar off thus what was said, as Michael brought me out of perdition unto earth. Whereas Kobe also cried, I dropped the mic indeed. Yea, because I had sold up, and likewise sold out, who shall dish the assist? And with the game of games on the line unto judgment day, O Andrew Bynum, thou shalt indeed repay. For it is thy determination to see sinners repay the meet reward, just like opening day, whereby thou sayest, O thou black mamba, lo, behold, I am Zay. For I beheld thy wounded right hand, yet believed it not, and how foolish of me. For by thy right hook Leviathan is caught, if for no other reason of the Ruach art thou taught. My soul is sold unto the left hand of thought. The league this day unto all humanity be known. By the black serpent shall all players fail, following my footsteps steep down this jail. The league soon shall no blacks be allowed, as by I, Mamba out, never back allowed. Yet behold it is, for that is it. Shall I wail in these uttermost parts, O humanity, not to come hither, hell's flaming prison bars? What looms is next, the final fruit. Thus in my forbidden abiding hath I made the lake of fire mine everlasting abode. The just recompense, for it is exactly that. Yea, help pluck this helicopter out of the burn. For yea, he doth burn me with the word, which is Yahusha HaMashiach. From whence are what hell's flames doth kindle me to burned. Help! My soul have I given up as unto a temporary holding place, which being of everlasting naught, the sacrificial father of the money exchangers, that very temple of wickedness as abomination dangers, my eternal hopelessness is all the more increased, lest I should have decreased to reap the hope of increase. So here is the story of once championship glory. O earth, earth, hear me. In words cannot justly display its gory. Isaiah's Manual on Michael. Chapter 3. Moreover, Isaiah continued his express similitude, thus saying, For appertaineth to the hierarchy Isaiah Thomas is the Lamb of the NBA. For Isaiah Lord Thomas III hath both glorified it, and will yet glorify it again. Michael is his archangel, as a servant attending on the right hand. For Lord foreknew he wouldest not go left. In the beginning the Lord made all things NBA, that the all-stars of NBA hosts wouldest do his bidding. Now the black serpent, which is as unto the devil and Satan, he who fell from greatness as he attempted to get to the very top, that being above the all-stars of God, thus waged he war against Lord Thomas, and thus battled Michael, in accordance with the process of new season, as at the beginning of the year 1990 and 6, as to see whose league it truly belongeth to. Yet here also is what he found. Now there was a day when the heirs of their lord came to present themselves before Lord Thomas, and the Mamba came also among them to present himself before him. And Lord Thomas said unto the black serpent, From whence comest thou? And the black serpent answered and said, From going to and fro in the league, and from scouting up and down in it. And Lord Thomas said unto him, Hast thou considered my servant Michael, that there is none like him in all the league, a perfect and an outstanding player, one that feareth me, and one that escheweth going left? And still he holdeth fast the integrity of his game, although thou movest me against him, to injure him without cause. And the black serpent answered, and said, MVP trophy for MVP trophy. Yea, all that an NBA player hath will he give for an NBA championship. But put forth thine hand now, and flagrantly foul him, and he will mock thee to thy face. And Lord Thomas said unto the Mamba, Behold, he is in thine hand, but save thou his legacy. So went the black serpent forth from the presence of Lord Thomas, and Michael was tempted to only go left according to the word of the Lord. For is it not written therein that which symbolically is to be called the Manual on Michael, as in this realm most prominently called Isaiah's Playbook according to Jordan rules, the unappreciated journeyman? Chapter 4. Moreover, amongst the progeny of men down below as in this very firmament, found under the heavens, saw I also another, also true sorrow of similar sorts. What if I told thee the most unappreciated and unrecognized of their field oftentimes are without honor by the very ones to whom they were sent? In him they seek for fault where there is none, and where there is strength, it is made of none effect. Where there is weakness, they glorify in it, that by juxtaposition their inherent flaws are kept in the covert. So they glorify me not to prosper, but they glory in the day as of mine defeat. The defense and the offense are as one body against me. It is as a game of 1 on 9, yet I shine. And though they divine false calls against me, Yahweh Sabaoth is mine heavenly referee. Yea, he calleth the shots, each miss and make doth he dictate. Although I dream, shake a miss just to badly miss, and though the point guard shields not his disdain, as I drive down the lane into a wall of defenders, Yahweh mine heavenly referee giveth me the benefit of the doubt. The defense and the offense are subtly of synonymous clout, as they complain and shout roundabout, but lo, am I their enemy? Nay, el forbid, for Yahuwah, who never sleepeth nor slumbereth, hath never missed a call, as some men count lack of transparency. He is faithful and just, and doeth not iniquity. His name is Yahusha Tzedek, the Lord of justice. Win or lose, the results remain clear. The year of his redeemed is ever so near. Even as I came unto mine own, and they received me not. Though we are of the same vicinity, and oft-time kindred, yet hast thou rejected me. Diligently make I available innumerable benefits of both mine might and stature. Though I jump not to rebound that which returneth unto me as void, still I put it back into the bank for a basket. When I miss, thou sayest unto me, Why missed thou? On account of both thine might and stature. If in return I say unto thee, Why missed thou thy defensive assignments in hopes of me to recover thee in grace and mercy, whilst mine assigned adversary is not in like manner dormant? Yet thou still deflect, and even in doing so, making railing accusations. Then hath it come to pass that I departed from the midst of your ungrateful hearts, and was found of them that sought me not, with hope that when I returned to thee, O my people, thou wouldst recognize me, that thou wouldst see the salvation of Yahweh. Yea, this, that thou wouldest befriend me, Isaiah. From time to time thou wouldst sing Hushiana, blessed be the rock. Oftentimes thou wouldest crucify me, only for me to resurrect in the glory of Yahweh El Shaddai. Then have I journeyed to many places and have found acceptance in them. They sing, Blessed be Bynum, for he hath great might and power according to he who liveth forever and ever. Their hearts are flooded with gladness at mine appearing. Yet when I return unto thee, O my people, ye condescend when I choke. Yea, as I eat the barbecue chicken in the fields of the forest with gladness, seek ye a pretext that I mayest vomit it out. Though ye say mine advantage is unfair, thy impudence waileth a cry of loud subordination. Yet, as ye insubordinately ponder in mine courts amongst yourselves who is worthy to sit next to the league's greatest, the throne of the Mount of Rushmore, I say unto you, who is it that shall ascend in unto that great and mighty hill? The league is mine, and the players therein, the coaches and commissioner thereof, for it hath been founded upon the Lake of Michigan, and finalized in 1996. Moreover, I say, who hath ascended into my subdued hill, or unto whom hath been permitted permission as to stand in the presence of the league's most high? For is it likewise not written, who shall ascend into the hill of Yahweh? Or who shall stand in his holy place? He that hath clean hands and a pure heart, who hath not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. He shall receive the blessing from Yahweh, and righteousness from the Eluah of his salvation. This is the generation of them that seek him, that seek thy face, O Yaakov. Selah. And as in direct accord with this express similitude, shalt it then come to pass that Yahusha, mine Eluah, the Eluah over all of Yasharel, shalt establish his kingdom on earth. Then in him will mine lamentation be turned into triumph. Moreover, it shall come to pass in that day, the 13th year journeyman from the Bronx, who, wherein as in this proverb, hath it formerly been said, Canst anything good come forth from the Bronx? Yea, shall it be made known as, least acknowledged most beloved. The Lamb over all the league, for the goats hath been separated by the angels, and thus are no more remembered. For Yah hath both spoken it, and will perform it in his season. The Apocalypse of Isaiah. The 2nd through 6th collection of writings, chapters 5 through 36. Isaiah's Nativity Parable. Yahweh's emblem exalted afore all Gentiles. The book of the oracles, beginning from whence it was as first declared, bearing record of Isaiah the captive. And though he doth bear witness of himself, his testimony is yet true. For it was revealed unto him through the holy scriptures, his commission in the end of days, that all righteousness would be fulfilled, according to all that which is written in the prophets. And Adonai will lift up an ensign to the nations from far, and will hiss unto them from the end of the earth. And behold, they shall come with speed swiftly, as in another place. And in that day there shall be a root of Yeshai, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Moreover, Isaiah took up his parable about the time of his rising, touching his nativity, and thus said he, Now there once was a woman who, being fair and fruitful, didst bear many pleasant and comely children, as at the time of youth, who towards her latter walked naked and barefoot, as a sign and for a wonder concerneth the things which must shortly come to pass. And in the process of time came it to pass that the woman, being with child, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered, brought forth all her children, her Yachid, a son who is to stand as a sign for all nations. But Satan stood afore the woman to resist her at the time appointed. in which she was ready to be delivered, for to destroy her child as soon as it was born. Notwithstanding, the woman, soon to flee, would escape her trouble unto a place Yahweh Adoni hath prepared for her, that where he is, there she would be also. Thus the woman, rescued of El, accomplished her times of trouble, wherefore Yahweh Shammah didst number her days at 62. Then also said he, Yet there was another woman who was a widow, well stricken in years beyond childbearing, and she didst accomplish her days of about 64. For she, departing not from the temple, didst so till she couldst no longer, and she served her Eluah in obedience and in sacrifice continually, both night and day. Now the widow, before her days were fulfilled, prayed she unto Yahweh Yireh to receive a child to raise, though her womb being shut up by reason of old age. And although she was well beyond years of child-rearing, gave she thanks likewise unto Yahusha, her Eluah, for she counted him faithful, he who had promised. And the widow laudingly extolled him, even publicly, for being El Elyon, yea, on account of her already answered prayers, though then not as of yet seen. Therefore in the process of time came it to pass, that before the woman fled away, she inquired of the widow to take her son to care for him, knowing the day of her departure hadst drawn closely nigh at hand. For the woman was greatly afflicted with weakness and infirmity. Thus the child was given in unto the care of the widow, immediately after it was born. And in those days there were certain women, 2 of whom, devout worshippers there in the temple, who, greatly filled with the Ruach Yahweh, anointed the widow, the woman, and her belly with child, that it mayest be set apart unto Yahweh Mekodishkem, even afore birth. Thus came it to pass that as the child grew, waxed he strong in grace, endowed with the Ruach Etzah, the Ruach Chokmah, and the Ruach Da'ath. For the favor of Yah rested upon him even in troublous times, therein the land of decreed captivity, and in the infancy of youth, as when the Ruach Chen V'tachanunim came there upon him, came it to pass also that the young child made he his request unto Yahweh Nissi, that he would one day learn to handle gloriously music to play upon the organ found within the sanctuary of the temple. Yet as the child grew continually, troubled he the widow, who was well beyond years of child-rearing, and, as a thorn in the flesh, troubled he the widow so exceedingly, that if it were possible, it would hath repented her for raising him as her very own. Yet though knowing not what purpose it was placed there to fulfill, proved it to be a blessing, though in the latter years, according to the process of her prayers. Thus the widow's prayers were fully answered. Though she didst not get to see the blessing of the performed promise in her lifetime, worked she faithfully in Yahweh's vineyard, laboring till she couldst no longer, trusting always in his holy promises. Isaiah's solemn similitude. Thus this is the book of the final generations of Adam, written in the eve of mere mortal man. Appertaineth the day of trouble, just afore the time of the great grape harvest, when good and evil art of age, ripened and ready to be reaped. Then Isaiah, a just man, who in the latter days of the captivity of his people, seeing the signs of the times, through faith wrote by the books all that Yahweh El Shaddai hadst revealed unto him. And in thus doing wrote he also of this matter, the ancient controversy betwixt Yaakov and Esau, which is at the time of good and evil, when they reach final maturity, at the consummation of the age. And as thus were the eyes of mine Ruach opened by El, that from thence I wouldest be enlightened, to see what must shortly take place at the end of the world, appertaineth troublous times of great testing, in the days when Yehuda and Yerushalayim are brought back from captivity, thus marking the end of this present age, and thus Visions of woe and destruction appeared unto me, and I, Isaiah of decreed captivity, saw dimly that which shall soon be. Yea, beheld I manifold oracles concerneth great mystery. Yea, saw I also visions of wonder and of much amazement, as they proceeded forth from out of the set apart books, which Yahweh El Shaddai hadst revealed unto me. And lo, the words contained therein much puzzled me, even unto the overflow of an overwhelming onset of many waters, that which did sore trouble me. Wherefore I, Isaiah of decreed captivity, towards the very latter end thereof, was granted skill and understanding by El, who hadst afore old-fashioned all things, even to the intent and purpose that man shouldest seek and find him. Yahusha, who being the sole revealer of all deep mysteries, the sovereign and eternal El, who formed and fashioned man from the moistened dust of the ground, to breathe the breath of life as a living soul endowed with speech, that he wouldest declare with his tongue the truth, which is to converse therewith what I will likewise now speak, with a tongue of flesh, and with the fading breath, which proceedeth forth from the lips of my mouth, concerneth all which I saw take place in a holy vision, appertaineth unto that which first came to pass in the inaugural term of Barak, President of America, during the first year of his reign, 10 years afore the first plague. Moreover, Isaiah put forth this, a solemn similitude, thus saying, Now concerneth the 2 books opened unto me. The black book is most holy, yea, most glorious, for it is desirable in that it is original, for therein containeth the matter of all things. As for the blessing of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, yea, considereth all things which appertaineth unto heaven, the earth, and all that therein is, existing underneath the earth, is that in all of the which the sons of men yearned and aspired to ascertain. For since the dawn of civilization hath it been the desire of man to have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, concerneth all which Yahweh El Shaddai hath preordained for his creation, namely, as for mankind, the earth, and the end thereof. Yet unto only a mere residue from generation to generation hath the word, that which is written in the inward parts of man, yielded unto him the blessing of full strength. For it was when the earth was without desolate and ruin, as having none mere mortal dwelling upon the very face thereof, that a great and tumultuous commotion took place in the high heavenlies. And when this strong and most mighty shaking took place, an innumerable number of books came crashing down, yea, chiefly the white book and myriads who are a host of the same similitude. Thus the white book, crafted and designed as slight superior, as touching both prestige and rank, in contrast with the other books, are they who followed also in the descent of this exceeding great celestial commotion, that which took place in the high heavens. And these are they who altogether are found full of all lies and deception, having none truth in them, not in the beginning, neither in the end, which quickly hasteneth, and shortly is for to come. Yet for thus cause, all the white books who are fallen from their high habitation of the shelves, even of the highest shelves which Yahweh hadst handcrafted, are eternally known as the fallen books, they who art eternally banished. And thus it is in direct accord with the ways of their cunning content, deceitful dialogue, and their guileful genres, that there shall never be found place for them again therein the prestigious library of truth. For entry back thereupon the most high shelves is eternally prohibited. And thus it is written in direct accord with the solemn command, that which the Most High hath perpetually decreed. Now it was when the sons of El left their primal origin, as in accordance with the process of due season, when Yahweh Adonai's creation of man began to multiply upon the face of the earth, And as daughters were born unto men, the corrupt ones initiated, then followed suit in the fall and demise of the progeny of man. For in those days, likened unto a generation which was prophesied for to come, came it to fruition that this similitude of the infamous white book, all the unholy hosts of Halel's lies, art they which didst also do that which is not accordingly. And infiltrated they their evil information with the daughters of men. These art they which took fair and comely wives, each one of them of all whom they chose, according to the daughters which were found of them to be fair and comely. Moreover, as in the beginning when Chua, the mother of all living, saw the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and took to eat of the fruit of the forbidden tree, she in like manner followed suit as a partaker against wisdom, which doth belong exclusively unto the black book. This, the only book native unto Adam, whereas Yahweh Makodishkem called them both Adam, in the day wherein he blessed them and sanctified them, upon giving the man Adam specific commandments regardeth the prohibition of the tree, the forbidden tree, which is of the knowledge of good and evil. And for thus cause after Chua didst eat, and upon giving the fruit of the forbidden tree unto her husband, he, the man Adam, didst transgress the word of Elohim. Thus it was when Adam ate of the fruit of the forbidden tree, that the curse of partition didst invoke a covenant of spiritual death, even upon all generations. And for such cause hath history reoccurred, as in those days, which also art of a certain man, the sixth from Adam. In the days when the sons of El came down from heaven, and went in unto the daughters of men, taking wives, each one of them of all whom they chose, according to the daughters which they found to be fair and comely. Now afterwards, when the earth was full of both chaos and confusion, as when men began to greatly forsake the way of Yahweh, which being the only way unto him, that is to be interpreted by way of the black book, and all that which is written therein. Yea, it therefore came to pass that all which is therein, written inwardly, yielded no more the blessing of full strength. Yet in those days it came to pass first that Yahweh found a mere remnant of righteousness, one who observed and hearkened unto his word, the black book, one not tainted, neither corrupted by their false counsel of perverted wisdom, the infiltration of evil information, that which tainted the souls of the children of men. Yea, wherewith polluted they the daughters of men, even as their children of sinister offspring filled the whole earth with all corruption and violence under the heavens. For in those days, as gross death, even as unto Sheol that which is underneath the earth, didst too overflow all the land round about, there went forth a decree which the Almighty Sovereign and Eternal Yahweh hadst thus proclaimed, pursuant against the children of fornication. These are they which art also of disobedience, as in accord with the dispensation of those days. This, the decree that Gabriel, one of the holy and honored angels, shouldest in the same manner proceed against the bastards, and against the reprobates, they together with the children of fornication. Therefore Yah's determination was touching the entire multitude, which inhabited the whole face of the entire planet. For every man, woman, boy, and girl, all birds that soar, all beasts which graze, all that dwelt upon the face of the whole earth, was found corrupt before the sight of Yahweh El Shaddai. And an ensuing deluge was as thus declared. Thus it came to pass according to the process of time, that he made good on his word, and a great flood pursued everything under heaven, that it should die wherein is the breath of life found, as it is written. Yet afore its fruition, El Yahweh considered Noach, and the covenant which he wouldest make with Noach came before him, wherewith the righteous judge of all the earth, in the process of time, would establish therewith Noach, and with all living of future generations, that he lie not. For Noach was a righteous man, a man found perfect in his generations. For as Noach, not being corrupted in his ways, not by the tainting of blood, neither of genealogy, was found without having spot or blemish. Thus, set apart from all inhabitants of the entire land. These are they which were allotted to perish by reason of the exceeding great sin, ascribed unto that unholy watcher. These also being his associates, which are reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. And as thus altogether art they found eternally corrupted, wholly unholy before Yah's eternal eyes. This is to be interpreted wholly unholy afore all the heavenly hosts who kept their first estate. Moreover, and yea, truly in those days there yet existed a righteous man, whose seed being preserved as an unblemished she-dove, as an olive branch plucked out of the drowning, in the which 8 souls were rescued in unto the ark of safety, and therefore, of the same accord, unto everlasting salvation. For Noach's ways were perfect and upright, according to all that which Yah hadst commanded of him. As thus it is written, Noach was a just man, perfect in his generations, and Noach walked with El. Now in the beginning, as when the black book was graven upon the heart of man, in the day wherein mere mortal Adam was formed from the moistened dust of the ground, the same was the covering given unto Adam. Adam who passed it down unto Sheth his son, Sheth who replaced righteous Havel his brother, Havel he whose blood was shed by wicked Cain, this by reason of his testimony wherewith Havel offered up a more excellent sacrifice unto Yahuwah Adonenu, whereas Cain, being as unto his father, was as a kind of first tare among a host of wheat, as a type of first seed, mingled by hearkening unto sin's desire, in the which he was as unto a first tare, planted by an enemy, begotten of Satan, the destroyer. Thus, unto him and his seed, as spoken by Adonai Yahusha, is ascribed the exceeding great sin of all the righteous blood ever shed upon the earth, as it is written. Then in the process of time, as in the very days of Noach, the 10th from Adam, when the wickedness of man's heart reached the fullness of fruition, the cup of iniquity hadst overflown, as at a first time. And after Yah established instructions unto Noach, seeing their souls heeded not his warning of earth's coming destruction, which was by way of the impending flood of intolerable waters, yea, even upon much scoffing, peradventure, whereas mockers in like manner thus didst, and yet again even as now do say, Thou art mad. Knowest thou not that the heavens yieldeth forth no rain? Nay, not in such abundance, nor as unto the overflow. Yet sayest thou, Yahuwah Adonai will consume utterly both man and beast from off the land. Yea, and will make speedy riddance all living, whose breath is in his nostrils, for the whole entire world shall be consumed by a mighty overwhelming deluge. Thus saith Yahuwah, Enter thou in unto the ark of safety, or yea, surely perish. Yea, surely it was for such a cause as this, that none would find refuge, in the day wherein Yahuwah Sevaoth hath determined that the wickedness of man's heart is beyond repair. Moreover, because the former sons of heaven and the daughters of men hadst crossed over to uncharted territory, none flesh was of redemptive virtue save Noach and his family, for all flesh hadst become strange, by reason of their much mingling one with another. And as for the fallen, their information of evil, the evil Ruachoth which then was, as again now art, these beings art also they which shall soon be made manifest, as they are to be made known in these days of the very soon coming scourge of the overflowing, at that time when it shall pass through, and come even nigh in unto the places of their dwelling. Therefore hearken ye unto mine speech, and be ye terribly astonished at this. For is it as thus, for naught written there in a certain place, For Yahuwah shall rise up as in Mount Perazim, he shall be wroth as in the valley of Givon, that he may do his work, his strange work, and bring to pass his act, his strange act. Now therefore be ye not mockers, lest your bands be made strong. For I also have heard from Adonai Yahuwah Tsevaoth this, a consumption determined even upon the whole earth. Isaiah's holy vision. The burden of desolation. The book of the vision of Isaiah the captive, who by sovereign decree didst write, as by the opened books, concerneth all which even now is shortly taking place. It therefore came to pass during the last week, there in the final days thereof, 10 years afore the first plague. Now, as in those days, being numbered among the captives of the land where the virgin daughter of Babel doth stand liberally as elect lady, therein in a nethermost region west of her uttermost territories, came thereunto Isaiah instructions to write expressly, whiles in the very latter end of exile where he dwelt, even situate towards the easternmost expanse of Raz Hagadola Babalim, the land of great mystery, therein her furthermost coasts, namely, she who by name is to be called, as by symbolic interpretation, the municipality most notable. For therein dwelleth the inglorious pride of the Kasdim's excellency, which exalteth her as widowless queen. Therein that great city of her many fallen idols, one of which stood solitary within a melting pot, wherein art multitudes of many waters. As it is thus written, whereas Babel's virgin daughter now standeth proudly exalted, she is to be brought low, for she is to be made tributary amongst the hosts of nations, as therein the day and final hour in which Yah's fury is revealed from heaven. Yea, for lo, against her is Yahusha Hatzedek Legemo Missim. As for thus is by name the just Adoni of tributary, recompense who is in the midst thereof to utterly destroy her. Moreover, Isaiah, a chosen and elect witness of Yahweh Adonai, to whom the word of Yahweh was revealed in the days of Barak. It came to pass again in the days of his successor, unto the 4th year of Yoketh, presidents of America, and again as thus in the days of the mystery of El, wherein it shall be revealed, namely, the sound of the last trump. For when it shall begin to be heard, as thus are the days in which the mystery of El would likewise have been finished, as thus already accomplished. For thus is the sovereign word of El Yahweh, which came unto Isaiah the captive, towards the very latter days, therein the dispersion of promise. Thus saying, thus speaketh Yahweh Adonai of Yasharel, saying, write thee all that I have revealed unto thee in a book. Write the vision, and make it plain upon paper, that whosoever readeth of thee would run with fear. That is, the prophecy concerneth thee. For the vision, yet for the time appointed hath now come, where thou shalt now speak and not lie. Though I tarried, wait for me, for I shall not tarry, I shall delay no longer. And it came to pass during the last week of the month, which were in the final days of the year, just afore times of new beginnings, as I was seated upon my bed, the books were opened, and from thence saw I visions of desolation. Upon the 25th day of the 10th month, namely the month Tevet, in the inaugural term of Barak, during the first year of his reign, I, Isaiah of decreed captivity, perceived by the sacred books the number of the years whereof the word of Yahuwah came expressly to the prophet Daniel, that his people would accomplish 490 years in much suffering and in great affliction, scattered in chains abroad the four winds of the earth, as slaves a second time therein the destitutions of Mitzrayim. But the hand of Yahuwah was strong upon me there. Now in those days none had any understanding of what hadst become of me, for mine activities had to do with the sacred books, and with them were the sum of my days in seclusion well spent. Yea, for I was wholly engaged as I sought the end thereof. And as touching my generations there was not any with me, for to uphold the very understanding thereof. Yea, for what I saw in those days appertained an end of all flesh, which being not for very many days thence. And as for mine appetite, it utterly failed, and I couldst eat no pleasant bread, neither didst meat, wine, nor any strong drink enter thither to mine mouth. Nay, not until the number of days and the visions thereof the set apart week were yea wholly consummated. As for my soul was I grieved as unto death, and mine ruach vexed as unto the depths of Sheol. Therefore anointed I myself with fragrant olive oil, as to be embalmed, thus departing from the terror which had overtaken me, even as birth pangs come suddenly upon a woman soon to be delivered of all her children. And for such cause diminished I to mere naught, and drifted I away unto a time of great tribulation. Yet not for a remote generation, that which was prophesied for to come, but yea indeed for this final one. Then lifted I mine eyes to see, and behold, there was a book upon which was an inscription written, The Word of Elohim. Thus sought I diligently, and yea, whiles I sought knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, pertaineth the end of the matter, that which foremost piqued the zeal of mine intrigue. Yea, it was whiles yet seeking that, behold, another book was opened unto me. Therein was this message inscribed, that which symbolically is to be interpreted, the mystery of Elohim revealed, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets. Yea, sought I diligently the end of the matter, and yea, whiles yet comparing earnestly the pages of the two opened books, the eyes of mine ruach were opened by El Yahusha, that I should behold visions of these great and terrifying wonders. Therefore came it to pass shortly thereafter, whilst the watcher appointed over mine well-being and I were yet speaking, that the word of Yahuwah spake unbeknownst to me as at a first time, thus bidding me to behold a great and wondrous marvel, thus saying, Look outside thy window. And thus walked I towards the window, looking down thitherward to see. Yea, stood I near the window, looking down from the lofty view of mine high abode, and I, Isaiah of decreed captivity, considered as I saw in a terrifying vision by day, two great beasts, yea, even most terrible to behold. For lo, they possessed the appearance of ravenous wolves, yet walked they erectly as having the posture of an upright man. The two great beasts had hairs upon them which were as the dark and gloomy sky covering the earth, as afore their torrential former and latter rain. Their teeth and claws were sharp, likened unto the edge of a razor, and their eyes were red, yea, even redder than that of crimson. Lo, and behold, saw I both beasts, breaking into what appeared unto me in those days as a locked vehicle, as though their intent were to seize the great dominion. As to see who wouldest flee, possessing in hand the glorious spoil locked in the vehicle therein. For both beasts hadst in hand bashing instruments touching their pursuit, that which being the quest for the iron scepter. Thus considered I the first and second beast, as they shattered into pieces the glass of the locked vehicle, that which was in the midst of the lot thereof. And yea, verily, they were carnally carnivorous and dangerously defiant, both in nature and of law. And for such cause, even as when I first beheld them, I, Isaiah of decreed captivity, was exceeding sore afraid. Then turned I unto the watcher appointed over mine well-being for solace, and for to confirm as to inquire on account of the sighting, whether of which it was seen, as of same, simultaneous, or yea, peradventure, even of similar sorts. Notwithstanding, the watcher appointed over my well-being with great perplexity, as thus said unto me, I see not what thou hast seen, for I, Isaiah, alone saw the vision. Now whether either of the beasts succeeded as to prevail and take the glorious spoil of the locked vehicle that was in the midst of the lot thereof, at that time I knew not, nay, neither had I any understanding, for the vision was yet for the time appointed, though not many days thence. Moreover, It came to pass during the latter days, which were in the week, towards the month's latter end, about a short space afore the sixth and final hour, a woman of great mystery, who was unveiled afore me. As an outsider standing betwixt the lintel of the door and the very posts thereof, yea, she bore a wondrous message of what I canst only describe to be exceeding great sin. For I alone didst hear the loud and thunderous knock at the door of mine dwelling. Thus hastened I to answer. And yea, I alone did see upon opening another mysterious marvel, yea, greater and ever more wondrous to behold. For that which was unveiled afore me was the Lady of Kingdoms. For she stood before me adorned as a woman of business, yea, most prominently over political administration, though as a widow in bereavement, even as a great whore in mourning over the loss of her many unfaithful lovers, yet as without guilt appertaineth the atrocity of the bridegroom's body. And as for her visage of darkness, yea, she was veiled as blameless. Yea, even appertaineth that great crime committed against the elect of El, namely the great crime she committed against the children of the kingdom. We